Hello, welcome to Thor Talk, the show all about Marvel's resident god of thunder. On this episode of Thor Talk, we are introduced to Sigurd Stark, the Iron Hammer. When the Marvel Universe is folded in half, Iron Man and Thor are merged together. This changed quite a lot. Let's take a journey into suspense to find out how much on Thor Talk.
I am Thor the Thunderer, son of Odin, prince of Asgard, and this world is under my protection.
Iron Hammer number 1 was written by Al Ewing and was published in September of 2018. In Infinity Wars, Gamora successfully collected all of the Infinity Stones, and in order to ensure that she was not interfered with, she folded the universe in half. This created a world where the characters were merged with other characters. Thor was merged with Iron Man to make the Iron Hammer. Our story begins in an ice hotel in Norway. This exclusive establishment finds itself host to the grim Sigurd Stark, the 5th richest man in Europe who built his company up from nothing in just 5 years. No one can seem to fathom why Stark would be so glum with all that he has accomplished, but his dissatisfaction is rooted in the fact that Sigurd Stark has no idea who he is. 5 years ago, he walked out of a storm with total amnesia, knowing nothing of who he was, but knowing everything of technologies that man has never known. He now feels drawn to leave the hotel and go out into the cold storm, and he can't help but feel strangely at home there. However, he must be cautious, as only 2 months ago, his friend Allgrim Vanko disappeared in the area, and soon he starts to understand why. "By the gods!" he gasps as he finds himself face to face with a legion of warriors. He doesn't know how he would know this, but Sigurd knows that these are dark elves from Svartalheim. He tries to run, but it is too late, and he is shot in the leg with a poisoned arrow. The dark elves prepare to execute him, but they are stopped by their leader, the Krimson Kurse, who recognizes Stark and says that he will be useful to them. They take him to Eitri the dwarf, telling Stark that he must help Eitri build weapons for them, or they will not cure him of the poison. Eitri helps Stark treat the wound, but the poison persists, and his leg will never be the same again. Sigurd suggests that they build weapons as requested, but instead use them to fight back. Eitri, however, has been cursed, being unable to forge weapons for himself or to do anything to save himself. So, they begin to build an armor for Stark to use instead. Sigurd Stark helps guide Eitri with the design he has in mind, and Eitri remarks that the design is a fusion of earth science and that of other realms. Stark is unsure of how he knows of these things, but becomes so sick that he is unable to continue working, so he rests as Eitri finishes the armor. Eitri wakes Sigurd to show him that the armor is completed, but he's too weak to even move as the poison has reached his heart. However, Eitri placed runes in the chest plate, and those will keep Sigurd Stark alive and heal his legs. However, he won't even have enough time to put on the whole armor as the Crimson Kurse approaches. Eitri realizes what must be done. He tells Sigurd that he has withheld much from him in the hopes of keeping the Allfather's secret safe, and now he gives him the final piece, a hammer made of iron, which is deadly to the elves. This hammer will unlock the armor's full power, and Eitri tells Sigurd to be worthy of it as he leaves to distract the Crimson Kurse. Sigurd hears his friend dying as he reaches for the hammer, and the Iron Hammer emerges to avenge his friend. He knocks the Crimson Kurse back with a blast of lightning. He now truly feels that he is half man and half god, for a second pondering if this is because of the armor or something else. But he can't think of this for long, as the Dark Elves have arrived to assist their leader. Sigurd brings up the online computer, Heimdall, and has it target all the elves and strike them down with lightning. The Dark Elf soldiers are defeated, but the Crimson Kurse remains. The Iron Hammer knocks the Crimson Kurse's mask off, revealing the mummified face of his old friend, Allgrim Vanko. Sigurd Stark realizes that even in death, they can control their prisoners. He knows he must free his oldest friend. He drives the hammer deep through Vanko's chest and electrocutes him with lightning. Stark stands angrily over the body of his oldest friend, vowing vengeance on Malekith. In Asgard, Malekith, the Master of the Ten Rings, promises Stein Odinson that he will still get to watch Stark die, for Malekith has already conquered Asgard. Stein Odinson says that's all he wants, and he already gave up everything for it. Madame Hel reminds Stein that they all made sacrifices, but still, Stark will be the first of the Aesir to taste death's kiss from Madame Hel. I must admit, I enjoyed this issue a whole lot more than I thought I would. I thought I would probably find it dull, since it's basically a retread of the DC Marvel crossover amalgame with the character Thor Ryan, but I still found myself enjoying this merged story. I loved seeing the interesting combinations, like Kurse and Crimson Dynamo, Hela and Madame Mask, Malekith and the Mandarin, and so on. I'm quite intrigued to see exactly who Stein Odinson is. Obviously he is half Obadiah Stane, but what's his Thor half? Is it Balder, or perhaps Donald Blake? I also love the subtle nods between both characters' origins, like Sigurd Stark having his leg damaged, but eventually having his heart in danger as well. I think I can honestly say that I am more excited for Iron Hammer number 2 than the next Thor issue. By the way, I know I've been away for a while, and I missed last week's issue. Unfortunately, I'm more busy than ever, so I won't be able to put out episodes as consistently as I have in the past. I'm not giving up on Thor Talk by any means, I'll just be unable to stay on my previous upload consistency for a while. Well, that's all for this episode of Thor Talk. If you want to keep up with and support Thor Talk, simply subscribe. Once again, I'd like to formally state that all art and video is owned by its respective companies, and I own none of it. With that said, see you next time on Thor Talk, where...